Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. Before I say warm, because everywhere it is warm, really warm, but to make you to think in such a way so that wishful thinking which ignites that warmth inside your mastish or body or mind. Why? Because today's topic is such important. In series of shows we have been doing from November on cryptocurrency, when people laughed when we have done, then they were rushing for the videos. That is what public interest is all about. The show, the purpose, and the wonderful guest in Mr. Rajendran is an advocate and a technocrat who takes time to prepare PowerPoint presentation. He says, Dr. Reddy, let us make people to understand what they watch or don't watch, but every data will be there. Even the commonest of the common should understand. Such wonderful man. He's again back. Sir, welcome. And none the least, Ravichandran Swaminathan ji, he is one of the rare few who has been writing books on cyber crimes. This Kali Yuga, whatever we earn, if you don't understand, the law is also very specific and clear. Ignorance is never an excuse. Court will say ignorance is no excuse. Mr. Rajendran will help us to understand it more. If you don't understand, if you are losing, courts also will not come to your rescue. That is why to be well informed, truly informed, not only the way you earn, the way you save, but also you should know how to protect your earnings. Just saving and forgetting investing in banks in the form of FDs, that those days have gone now. Because everything is being made digital, so that common man is not at par in understanding. And what do you do? Either you go for bullion, gold, FDs, real estates, then of late, since Arshad Mehta fame, after Narasimha Rao opened up India 90s, you started to invest in shares. The shares of a company which they are floating will depend on the project work and that necessity of that product at that given time, and how they are going to market, and how many potential buyers of that product, and the potential investment. All these things are called project report. Pulled together, they will go for shares. Once they pool in their amount, hardened amount, and then bank or someone to help, then later on they will involve public money. This is another great saving which people had. Not like Wall Street. It is all hypothetical market, but Indian markets were performance based. A company by performing, it used to have rating for its share. That share value used to go up based on real performance, not hypothetical as you find in Wall Street and others. But after Arshad Mehta scare, we came back. But in spite of that, many a times we have been hearing how these shareholders' money is being manipulated to be invested in some companies who have no ideological presence in the manufacturing or other sectors, that means performance sectors. But hype is created and people go on buying and investing in such shares. And you have seen the big bulls who have invested, they have taken away everything. Their personal life, their personal properties are good, but they will show only loss pertaining to shares. Shamelessly. I am not saying this myself. Today I have seen all these things, and whatever I am speaking, carrying from the mainstream media. They have used such utter disregard words because only it pinches them when they lose, but not common people. But we have been working for common people right from the day one. So we said National Stock Exchange scam or National Shame Exchange, because it is hard-earned money of every citizen. Instead of saving it in the banks, instead of investing it in the real estates, instead of investing it in the gold or silver or whatever it is, They thought this is the safe bet and they thought of becoming rich by no time, thinking that all the safeguards are there. Unwittingly, not understanding how diabolical these shares and this regulator called stock exchange, like Reserve Bank of India with banks, stock national stock exchange is the one. But of late, what we have heard, what happened with the one who is heading, Chitra Ramchandran? She has been jailed by CBI for fraudulently dash dash helping someone, and this is how the unfortunate, innocent public money has become a big loot. For which I thank Ravichandran ji and Rajendran ji and Logesh Babu ji, they have also joined for that meticulous way they are going to bring it out. So I'll make Ravichandran ji the presenter, and for his credit, he has come out with good books, Mr. Ravichandran, to make our life simple. So namaskaram to all of you, sir. Logesh Babu ji,
Welcome, Babu, welcome.
welcome. You are in the car, we told by Rajendran ji. Yes, sir. You are the presenter now. Ravichandran ji, please.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Dr. Reddy, before Ravichandran, I think it was a program we gave. I'll give an intro for about 10 minutes, then only Ravichandran was about to speak. That is how we have planned.
Yeah, but
I would suggest that I'll start now.
okay. Acha, you are.
Because I require Logesh Babu's explanation towards the end of the program when I talk. Leave the technical details to him.
Is that okay, Rajendran ji?
Not make a preliminary introductory remarks now.
Yeah,
No,
I think
that-
it will be
because
better.
only after, if he talks technical now, they will people will not be able to correlate it with the actual.
Yeah, let the PPT go first, Rajendran ji. With PPT, you can have remarks. You can have your remarks as well as the technical inputs by Logesh Babu ji, because he may not be available for us for the entire show.
Yeah, he may not be available.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that is the reason I think this PPT will be important for us. Both of you can immediately.
Fine, sir.
Your concluding remarks will be important, Rajendran ji. Yes, sir, please.
Um, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. So that's already my concluding remarks by about 8:45 to 8:50. I think by 8:55 you want the plan to be. So it will be over in about 1 hour, no?
Okay, done, done, sir.
Maybe 50 to 45 minutes.
Yes,
Maybe
yes,
2-3 minutes plus.
done,
So
done,
by
sir.
8:55, I think.
Yes, sir, done,
8:59 you should be able to close it.
done,
Okay.
done, sir.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for having me on your show. And thank you, Mr. Rajendran and Mr. Logesh Babu, for coming on. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
Today, we will be talking about two institutions. One is the National Scam Exchange, given by its acronym NSE. Brokers call it the National Stock Exchange. And the second one is the Scam Enabling Bureau of India, also known as SEBI. Popularly, it is known as Securities Bureau of India, Security Enforcement Bureau of India. They are the regulators for all companies, including the National Stock Exchange. As Dr. Reddy said, we started out with Harshad Mehta. As you know, there are a lot of animals on the stock exchange. There are bulls, there are bears, there are stags. But nowadays, we can also find skunks, jackals, and wolves on the stock exchange. These are the ones who take away your money. Back in 1988 to 1992, when Bombay Stock Exchange was the only stock exchange present, Harshad Mehta took the brokers for a ride using forged bank receipts. But one good thing that he did was he moved the BSE index from where it was prevailing around 450, 500, 600 to cross 4,000 points. And that is to his credit. When the Iraq war broke out, he got caught, and then he took classes for the CBI on what is his stock exchange, what are derivatives, what are bank receipts, and what was the lacuna in the system which enabled him to do that fraud. He used roughly around 17 lakh crores of bank money to invest in the stock exchange. That was his high point. At that time, SEBI was there. SEBI had been formulated, but the SEBI Act came into force only in 1992, that is on January 30th. And the preamble of the Securities and Exchange Board of India describes the basic functions to protect the investors in securities and promote the development, blah, blah, and the security matters and for matters connected therewith or thereto. Actually, the SEBI was supposed to be the regulator for every company, every public company or incorporated company, and also the stock exchange. The same year, 1992, the National Stock Exchange was promoted by State Bank of India, IDBI, Life Insurance, among others. And this National Stock Exchange was promoted mainly to overcome the, what I should say, the cabal that was formed by the Bombay Stock Exchange brokers. Because they were not willing to improve the working of the Bombay Stock Exchange, and there was a lot of malpractices also going on in the Bombay Stock Exchange. So National Stock Exchange was promoted by these government agencies to create a trusted, transparent, digitally accessed platform for trading in shares from anywhere in the country. Basically, what they wanted was to distribute the trading floor throughout the country so that anybody can access the stock exchange floor from anywhere digitally and do the trading. That was the entire thing. So when National Stock Exchange was formed, the latest stock holding pattern shows something very interesting. There are Indian banks, insurance companies, and there are institutional investors. But the most interesting thing is 6 institutions are based out of Mauritius. In 1995, if you remember right, when Mr. Chidambaram was the finance minister, he introduced the participatory notes. From that time onwards, you will be surprised to find that Mauritius is the largest FDI investor in India. It is bringing in something around 56% of the FIIs and FDIs into India. The question is Mauritius that developed a country to bring in all this information, all this FII and FDI? So that time there was a suspicion that the money that was coming into India was round tripping of this hawala of our own cash. Now, out of this 5 or 6 companies which are in Mauritius, most of the companies are subsidiaries of other known companies like Tamas or Citibank Holdings or some other company. Well-known companies, recognized companies. But there was one odd company out. That was the Tiger Global 5 Holdings. Now, this company has got its office in New York and registered in Cayman Islands. Nobody knows who's the owner of that. And this is having a lot of shares in the National Stock Exchange. Now, some terminologies that we will come across today and why this entire problem that NSE is facing, I'll be describing that to you now. Originally, when Bombay Stock Exchange was formed, shares were quoted for and taken delivery of. It was a one-to-one, face-to-face transaction. There was something called the bull ring, and people used to hang on the rings inside that and shout out the quotes, bids, selling, buying, whatever it is. When the National Stock Exchange was started, all this was over. Now everything has become digital. When everything becomes digital, naturally softwares come in. So somewhere around 2005, 6, 7, US introduced this algorithmic trading. That is, it was also called the algo trading, where pre-programmed trading instructions were given to execute orders at very high speed. Now these instructions are based on time, price, and other instructions that are given on the software. Once the instructions are given, the software will execute the order set by the investor. Now there are softwares which will track the trends in real time, whether the price is going up, coming down, and accordingly it will put out the order. Basically, the idea of giving this algo trading or algorithmic trading was to enable institutional buyers or investors for bulk trading. Suppose today, let us assume that LIC wants to sell something around 2 lakh shares of XYZ company. Then this trading transaction should take place over the entire day so that LIC will get the maximum returns possible. Now what happens if LIC brings in 2 lakh shares and at the beginning of the day it says that it is going to sell 2 lakh shares, that particular company share price will drop like a rock. So to prevent that, they do it in small installments. And that was the purpose of this algorithmic trading. It was done so that the market is not disrupted or the price variation is not so much so that you can always control it or keep it under limits. Now, once the software algorithm trading came in, it was followed by high frequency trading, high frequency algorithmic trading. Now, as the computers became powerful, more and more powerful, as the companies became more and more, computers became more and more powerful and fast, then what happened was the algorithms were written so that multiple orders and bulk orders could be sent simultaneously across the ring. Now the main aim of this high frequency trading was to execute a large number of orders in a fraction of a second. And the algorithms were very complex and they had to evaluate and analyze the security market. So this is how a graph looks like. On the left hand side of the screen, you will see this is an hour by hour comparison of two shares. What was the EA shares and what is the SPY shares. Now you will see that the share differences doesn't look very different when I see it on an hour-to-hour basis. The same graph, when I put it on a minute-to-minute basis, then you can see the spikes, you can see the differences and how it is plateaus, valleys and spikes. You can see it very clearly. Now, this is hours, this is minutes. The third graph, it will show you in milliseconds. This is a 250 millisecond interval graph. Now, if you can see this graph, you will be able to analyze where the profit lies and where the loss will lie. Where the peaks are, where the valleys are. This is in just 250 milliseconds, mind you. Or if I can execute an order for buying or selling in these limits in 250 milliseconds, then I can make a profit. The profit will be low. It may be in terms of, say, tens of paisas or rupee or rupee this way, that way. But when you look at the volumes of orders that can be executed, then the profit will be extremely high. Now, So this is the basic technology behind. I think Logesh Babu will be able to explain this when he talks about the technical side of the algorithms. Now, I always say, if you don't understand the technology properly, if you are not able to find out how it can be misused, then please don't introduce that technology. Rajendran will immediately get upset and say, you are always don't want, left to you, you'll go back to the Stone Age. I prefer the Stone Age. At least I was peaceful then. But now, how do these strategies they make? They make market making. They call quote stuffing. They call tick by tick orders. They call it as statistical arbitrage. See, just like IT professionals, stockbrokers have also got jargons where each one will say a different thing. Basically, what it means that this market making, code stuffing, and statistical arbitrage is comparing the prices of the shares in two different stock exchanges and buying in one and selling in the other. For example, Bombay Stock Exchange rates may be higher than NSE rates, so I buy in Bombay and sell it in NSE. By the time I do this transaction, the rates may come more or less equal. Tick by tick trading, each time the market goes up or comes down, I call it a tick. So each point that the market goes up, immediately my software senses that tick and alters the orders accordingly. Basically, all these softwares are designed to buy low and sell high. At the end of the day, they don't make any losses. That is the general idea for all these software things. And the volumes are very high. For example, just to give you an example, when you blink your eye, it takes 300 milliseconds just to blink your eye. Remember, 300 milliseconds just to blink your eye. These softwares are able to execute orders in 10 microseconds. Where is 300 microseconds and where is 10 microseconds? It takes 300 microseconds to blink your eye. It takes 10 seconds for microseconds for a software to execute an order. Which means by the time I blink my eye, the software would have executed 30 orders. And the broker who has got the fastest software, he will make the greatest profit, and that profit will come from the retail investor because he doesn't have the money to invest in such high cost softwares. This is what is happening. Now, there are issues in this also. The market can be manipulated. For example, there is something called the fat finger crash. What happened when these algorithms were introduced and high frequency trading was done on the stock exchange in May 22nd, 2010? What happened was the Dow index was going down. It went down by about 300 points till about say 245, 250 in the afternoon. Then suddenly, in another 5-10 minutes, Dow index dropped 600 points. On that day, Dow lost 9% of its value. And another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, again it bounced back to its original level. So, the share that was affected was Procter Gamble. That share was almost wiped out when the share market dropped. People lost, the retail investor lost $2 trillion in that 15 minutes. $2 trillion in that 15 minutes. Finally, they investigated the entire thing and they found out that an Indian sitting in UK, he had triggered off that sale by putting in a software, by putting in an algorithm, which suddenly sent out 20,000, 19,000 orders for selling Procter Gamble shares. 19,000 orders at a fraction of a second. And in 2012, computers were slow. They were not as fast as they are now. And because of that, the share dropped. And Indian was responsible for that. Then there are other things called spoofing, layering, front running. Front running is nothing but tailgating. Now suppose I have some advanced information that Reliance is going to give a bonus. Then what I do is, I start buying the shares. I give orders to start buying the shares. This is called tailgating or front running. I have advanced information about some activity which other people will not know. The public will not know. And probably I got this information just before the stock exchange opened. Now, if I have a high frequency algorithm running on my system, even 1 minute before the stock opens, I will be aware of that this Reliance share is going to go up, and immediately I will use my algorithm and give a buy order for Reliance shares. So I will make my profit that way. Now, layering is also very much similar to that. You give a buy order, but you actually you are not going to buy anything. When you give a buy order, say 10,000 buy orders you give simultaneously for a particular share, what happens is, by the time this share buy order comes into the screens of the retail investors, they will be thinking, okay, somebody is buying this share, so let me also go and buy it. And when they start buying it, I wait till a few seconds after I give the buy order. I estimate the time that it will take a retail investor to see it and give a buy order. And either at that particular time or just before that, I give sell orders. So artificially, I have lifted the stock market, and I don't have the shares. I have bought 100 shares, I have sold 100 shares, I have come out with a profit. So this is called spoofing, spoofing the market. Suddenly, this sort of manipulations happens everywhere. Now, the unfortunate thing, National Stock Exchange introduced algo trading in 2009. They were well aware of all these problems, because 2010 that Dow index crashed because of algo trading, and just before that NSE had introduced algo trading. They could have stopped it, but they didn't do it. They went ahead and do it. The beauty of the entire thing is, when the algo trading was introduced, SEBI permission was not taken at all. SEBI was not even informed that National Stock Exchange is introducing algo trading. SEBI came to know about it only 1 month later, and then they permitted it. Permitted it retrospectively. And after doing all that, there have been crashes in the Indian stock market because of algorithmic trading. And because today Chitra Ramakrishna is behind bars and there is an issue in now, SEBI has last year in December appointed a committee to find out the positive and negative aspects of algorithmic trading and whether to continue it or not. That is 11 years, 12 years after first introducing it and permitting it. This is how the government works. You introduce something, and 10 years down the line you say, okay, let me find out whether this is good. It is something like very much like what the finance minister said in the parliament. Digital assets, we don't know whether it is legal or not, but I will make it, and then I will form a committee and let them decide whether it is legal or not. something like that. So now, the first instance, National Stock Exchange was founded to create a level playing field. That level playing field was disturbed because of the introduction of this algo trading. And this algo trading software doesn't come cheap. It is costing somewhere between 1.5 to 2 crores. And this software has been developed by Omnisys Technology, in which Chitra Ramakrishna is also a director. And not only Chitra Ramakrishna, Ajay Shah, his wife, they are also part of that team. And Ajay Shah's wife was sharing all NSE data with her husband so that he could formulate that software. You scratch my back, I will scratch your back. So this is how it was happening all this time. Now, already this level playing field has been screwed in the favor of the brokers, some of the brokers, and the maximum number of retail clients. They have been put at a disadvantage. It is no longer a level playing field. Now, to add insult to injury, Chitra Ramakrishnan permitted National Stock Exchange to allow brokers, not all brokers, only certain brokers. I think the number is somewhere around 180 brokers or somebody. These people were permitted to locate their servers next to the National Stock Exchange server in the same building. Now, what is the point in having a server next to the National Stock Exchange? Any information that comes to NSE, first it will come to NSE. Whatever information comes to NSE is immediately accessed by these brokers. And it takes, see, the other investors, they are connected to the National Stock Exchange server by probably over the net or multi-layered protocols or whatever it is. Now, it can be a leased line, it can be a multi-protocol switching unit, or it can be a computer-to-computer link. So whatever information that comes on the National Stock Exchange takes 3 to 5 seconds to go to the retail investor, depending upon how he is connected. But as far as the brokers are concerned, it appears to them almost simultaneously. It appears on their screen as soon as it appears on the National Stock Exchange screen, which means they have got a few seconds handicap. They have got a few seconds lead over the other brokers. And in that few seconds, I told you that they can execute 30 orders in 300 microseconds, or one order every 10 microseconds, which means 3-second interval or a 5-second interval, they can capitalize on the entire information that is coming, leaving the retail investor high and dry. So, it is, all brokers are equal, but some brokers are more equal. That is the thing. Now, out of this 180 brokers who were attached to the National Stock Exchange, roughly around 10 or 15 of them, they went one step further. What they did was, they hooked up their server directly to the backup server of the National Stock Exchange. And the purpose of hooking it up to the server of the National Stock Exchange was very simple. When retail investors from all over India, they give orders on the National Stock Exchange, the orders come and hit the National Stock Exchange servers. Now, National Stock Exchange has got a number of servers, and when they hit the servers, there is a software which will balance the load on each server so that it is equal. And the orders are executed on a queue basis. First come, first serve. Now, what National Stock Exchange was doing was to enable these brokers to access the orders faster, to execute their orders faster. What they used to do was, they used to switch off the server and switch it on. So when they switch off the server and switch it on, the brokers who are connected to the server will be first in the queue. The others will be pushed back. So this was another way of doing it. And some of the other brokers, they had hooked up their servers directly to the backup of the National Stock Exchange. And the backup of the National Stock Exchange does not come into the front unless some server goes down. Which means that it is always free. The brokers can execute their orders as and when they want it. So this is another way of they hijack the system. The third way that they hijacked the system was even more simpler. The stock exchange timing starts at 9:15. For these brokers, the servers are opened at 9 o'clock, which means that they had a 15 window gap in which to place their orders and get first to the queue. Now, just to give you some figures, National Stock Exchange has got a market capitalization of 3.4 trillion US dollars, and it is the 10th largest exchange in the world. A single session on the National Stock Exchange, the transactions range from 98,000 Indian rupees to the maximum of 147,000 crores Indian rupees. It is ranging from 98,000 crores to 1,47,000 crores. That was the highest reached sometime a short while back. Now, if I take everything into this thing, and even if I put a 0.4 decimal this thing, my guess estimate is these brokers have made close to 50,000 crores to 75,000 crores. And most of this money has gone abroad. It has gone abroad by way of bitcoins, by way of direct transaction, because a lot of institutional these things people are also there. It has gone that way also. And this scam started in 2010 when Chitra Ramakrishnan was the joint managing director of SEBI, of National Stock Exchange. And she became the MD on April 2013. The Yogi came into the picture in 2014. That I will come to it later. The first complaint, the first indication that something wrong was going on in National Stock Exchange was broken by Suchita Dalal, who was the same journalist who broke the news of Harshad Mehta's fraud back in 1992. She's the same reporter who also broke this, journalist who also broke this National Stock Exchange. And this, she did it in July 2015. Please remember the dates. I will tell you why they are important. She broke the story in July 2015. And she got the information from a whistleblower who had addressed a letter to her and a copy to SEBI also. SEBI did not take cognizance of that letter. Sujata Dalal took cognizance of it. She used her resources to investigate the matter, and finally she broke the story. From December to January 2016, December, from October 2016, a series of complaints came to SEBI, complaining of malpractices and co-location problems in the NSE server. In fact, I was talking to a broker a couple of days back, and I was asking him whether he didn't find anything strange going on. He said often the servers used to crash, and when we telephoned National Stock Exchange, they simply said it's a technical glitch. And that crash was they were switching it on and switching it off. That is how it happened. That is how I was able to relate these two together. Now, SEBI received a complaint starting December 2015, and it went on. Finally, they entrusted the investigation to one of the big four companies. Now, I don't know what government agencies find so alluring about the big four. The big four is nothing but your E&Y, Price Cooper and Waterhouse, KPMG, and other people, four auditing firms. These people are supposed to do forensic science investigation, but these big four are also involved in global level frauds, directly involved in global level frauds. But still, our government thinks that they are extremely good people, so we should entrust their listening to them. And this was entrusted to them in 2017. The report was E&Y forensic investigation report came in 2018. Now, Mr. Rajendran will know we are looking at a cyber crime fraud. And is E&Y forensic investigation team capable of assessing what a cyber evidence is and holding it? He will talk about 65B statements, how evidence is to be captured, preserved, collated, and how it is to be handed over to the court, establishing a chain of accountability, including from where they took the original data from, seizing the data and everything. None of this was done. None of this was done. SEBI, I don't know whether they took up the matter also. Finally, SEBI informed CBI, and CBI registered an FIR in 2018. We are in 2022. The investigation has just now started after 4 years. And in that forensic report of E&Y, what was given was that there was some level of insider trading which was happening. And before this E&Y investigation, as the E&Y investigation was going on, SEBI was writing to National Stock Exchange asking for explanations. And they were asking explanations for close to 1.5 years. Is this how a regulator works? I complained to a regulator saying that is a fraud going on in a bank. Will the police go and tell the bank, can you give me an explanation for that? Won't they step in, seize all the documents, seize all the evidence, and find out for themselves whether the evidence is there? A prima facie can be made out and then an FIR be registered. SEBI was writing to NSE. And they wrote and they got letters. They wrote and they got letters, and finally this E&Y forensic report came in, and there were emails which indicated that the managing director was corresponding with some unknown person regarding NSE matters, administrative matters, postings, this thing, that thing, etc., etc. And in that investigation, it was found that the managing director had appointed one Anand Subramaniam. Now, this Anand Subramaniam was working for a subsidiary of Palmer and Lorry, and his total salary was at that time around 15 lakhs, just 15 lakhs per annum. And he was, I think, in the leasing or logistics department. He was the vice president of leasing or logistics department. I'm not very sure about it. This man was appointed across the table. There was no advertisement. There was no interview. Even his certificates were not called for or examined. I am planning to send my resume to National Stock Exchange and SEBI, asking them to appoint me as an advisor for both those institutions. And the salary was fixed was 1.68 crores. Consultancy, he was designated as a consultant and an advisor. And between 2013, when he took up office, and by the time he retired in 2016, he was asked to resign, I think, in March 2016. He had received increments. He was supposed to work for 4 days a week. that was increased 3 days a week, that was increased to 5 days a week, and for this 5 days, he had an increment. His 1.668 crores compensation package was increased to 4.21 crore compensation. And the condition was that he should be working for 5 days. That is on document. On paper, he should be working for 5 days. But according to the Yogi Ji's instructions, the managing director permitted him to work for only 4 days, and that 1 day salary was to be given to the Yogi Ji as a gratitude for the work, for recommending him to that post. Normally we call it corruption, but in spiritual language it is called gratitude, expressing gratitude. Like breaking a coconut for Ganapati Baba. If I get 1.668 crores, I'll break one truckload of coconuts also. I won't mind it. But this is how things were working in National Stock Exchange, the premier stock exchange of this country, the 10th largest stock exchange of the world, and the 4th largest derivative exchange in the world. They are not able to investigate a simple fraud. When a country is corrupt, the government will pass any number of laws. That is what it means. Corruptissima Republica Plurima Leges, which means more corrupt the country, more numerous the laws. Just like doctors can be, more number of doctors can be found where people get sick often. Dr. Prasad will, he will say that I am right on that.
Tukude, more specializations, more confusion.
Multiple agencies have started investigating this scam. Anand Subramaniam was arrested in February 24th of this year. Chitra Ramakrishna was arrested on March 3rd. When? 4 years after the complaint had come. And SEBI, they conducted the inquiry for 3 years, and only on March 12th they have given the final order. By this time, Chitra Ramakrishna had resigned from National Stock Exchange, and in recognition of her services, the board of directors of National Stock Exchange gave her 44 crores as gratuity in appreciation for the work done by her. And SEBI levied a penalty of 3 crores on her for misgovernance and mismanagement. This is a good business. I cheat somebody for 100 crores and I get slapped with a penalty of 4 crores or 5 crores. Another 2 crores I can give to the lawyer to fight my case. And I can go into an old age home and retire for the rest of my life. Now, just to give you an idea, comparison, there was one Rajat Gupta in US. He was accused of insider trading just like Chitra Ramakrishnan. The investigation took 1 year. 2009 and to 2010, it took only 1 year. 2010 to 2011. 2012 May, he was charged and brought to court. He was sentenced to imprisonment on June, that is within 1 month. The sentence was confirmed in the October of June 2012. That is, in a matter of 2.5 years, that man was caught, investigated, tried, punished, and punishment was confirmed. And here, we have filed a case in 2018, and 4 years down the line, we have just started investigation. Tell me, Chitra, and incidentally, Rajendran, you will be shocked to know this. E and Y gave some emails, about 10 to 12 emails. Now, the computer has been disposed of by National Stock Exchange as e-waste. There is no computer. Which means there is no evidence. That is what SEBI has said, that is what E&Y has said, that is what CBI also said.
What this part of the thing what Ravi says absolutely correct. This came out very openly. I was also wondering because there's a garbage dump, how a small laptop will occupy so much space that they should be dumping it. It's not a big server or a voluminous racks and tons of files or about 30, 40 gunny bags of physical document that has to be dumped. It's just about two laptops. Doesn't BSC or NSE or CBI or any other agency, doesn't even the house or office of anybody have space to keep just two laptops? Quite intriguing.
I don't
serious reasons given, unconvincing reasons given.
NSE has told E&Y that these laptops have been disposed of as e-waste. They don't have it with them. My question is, why hasn't the NSE server itself been tapped? They have got backup servers, which means that all mails will have to go through their servers. Why wasn't the backup servers taken? Why weren't the log trails followed? See, there are so many ways. Rajendran or Mr. Logesh Babu will tell you that even I don't require a laptop to identify the email or authenticate an email. There are other ways of doing it also. I don't know why these people have not done it for the last 4.5 years. Now, after 4.5 years, I think it will be very difficult for them to get that information because service providers are bound to keep all this information only for 2 years. Now they can simply say that we don't have that information. And another intriguing point is in 2020, the Companies Act 2013 was amended decriminalizing certain acts, which means certain acts which were prohibited by the Companies Act 2000 and under which these people could have gone to jail. Now it is enough if they pay some penalty and get away. That is why SEBI has charged 3 crores penalty and allowed Chitra to go away. So this in short is what the NSE scam is all about. Now, as an investigator, I use stylometry, a subject called stylometry, where the messages give me a lot of information about the people. This is a subject which I developed here in Coimbatore, and using this I have broken 3-4 cases in Coimbatore where I have identified the suspect also. It is reasonably accurate, about 50-60% accurate. The accuracy of this style of profiling a person increases as we get more and more messages and we get more and more input about the accused. The more the information, the greater the accuracy. Now, with this emails that have been put out on the public domain, I can profile that yogi, that mysterious yogi. Some people, a lot of names have been bandied about, but I am not interested in taking out any names. The profile of the yogi, if I do it, is just saying that yogi is a very meticulous person with an eye for detail. He notices very, very small things also. That yogi is very fluent in English and he has got legal knowledge. That yogi is of commanding nature and he can be utterly ruthless. He is 60 years and above. He is a senior citizen. He is very familiar with government policies, government personnel, and he knows the government procedures in and out. He is very meticulous in collecting what is due to him, and when he is spending, he does it very wisely, and he is a spendthrift. He is not a spendthrift. He is very, very particular about what he spends, how much he spends. He is very particular about that also. So this is a basic profile that I've built upon it. And when I say a basic profile, I can add some more points also. In appearance, he will be very, very neatly dressed. Not a single hair will be out of place. He has got poor eyesight. He is not very familiar with this smartphones, gadgets, and all that. He is not very comfortable with all these things. Like I said, he is very commanding. He has got people to work under him. So he will delegate responsibilities and ask them to do it. And most important, he always keeps 2 or 3 people between him and the crime. When I address police people, I always say, every criminal leaves behind his signature at the scene of the crime. That is a natural thing. What happens if a criminal commits a perfect crime? Then what is the signature that he leaves behind? What is the evidence that he leaves behind? The answer is very simple. The perfectness of the crime is his signature. And that man, he will be perfect in all his movements. There will be no extravagant movement. There will be no extravagant flashes of his hands, no extravagant words. Every word will be measured and delivered. If he writes a line, it will be exactly 8 words to a line, 12 lines to a page, and it will not vary at all. It will be a very beautiful handwriting. So this is the profile of that yogi. Now, who he is, that is for the investigating agencies to find out. And best of luck to them. So this, in short, is our national security scam, for which Chitra Ramakrishnan is now behind bars.
Wonderful.
So I leave it to Mr. Rajendran and Mr. Logesh Babu to fill up whatever blanks I have left behind in this.
I think it will be Logesh Babu to start with, would be better. Is it right, Rajendran ji?
Yeah, he can finally sum it up. He can finally criticize all of us.
Huh?
Mr. Rajendran can criticize all of us. He has got the authority to do it.
It's okay. I don't have.
He is always authorized and approved by both of us.
All of us. All of us.
All three.
Okay. Taking this chance, I thank again once again Mr. Jima Brothers Reddy for giving me this opportunity, and thank you for the excellent clarification and lots of new information I have known about the stock exchange. But on the criminal side or the crime side, I'd like to fill out a few things. So you are speaking about the time limit which has been given during switch on and switch on of the devices or the market areas. You get a flexible time of 10 to 15 minutes. Our algorithm can be triggered. Yes, that is true. See, you can mint, not take away. You can mint n number of amount or n number of money from the stock exchange without the knowledge of the stock exchange systems also. An algorithm can do n number of activities without the human interference. Once it has been injected, and you can do any number of criminal activities with any systems. And of course, I have seen many of the systems which is not updated using the older version of the systems. So that will be more of vulnerable, and lots of crimes will also be, lots of doors are opened for the crimes to be executed as well. First point. Second point is that there are hundreds and hundreds of crimes which are taking place daily, and I'd like to specify some of the 1 or 2 crimes specifically. Like in 2019, a crime took place called unauthorized trading. This Carway stock broking scandal, that scam was misusing of the client fund. That is, client has given a fund and they have misused that fund and tried to utilize that client fund without the knowledge of the clients, that without the knowledge of their own clients. many of this loss has been happened in the clip. So there are regular crimes which are regularly happening, but all these crimes are not listed and they cannot be listed. There are crimes which is yet to be discovered, like if a malware or a trigger has been injected in the system, in the server of any CB systems, that will be injected only through the person who is sitting as a responsible person in the thing, like a server engineer or a server person who would control the person, like switching on, switching off the person. The same like this person tries to inject the system. Once it has been injected, you can do any n number of frauds. This is what generally cyber crimes we speak. Update your systems, even if it is updated. See, as Ravichandran sir is saying, an yogi who does the crime very clearly without any traces are always available in crime site. They do it regularly without any. So, from a public point of view, it is our responsibility as well as the responsibility of the controller of the stock exchange or the stock market to update the systems with the proper channel and keep on updating regularly. Nowadays, I have a real doubt whether the stock exchange people are doing any VAPT testing or not. I have not seen that VAPT testing being done in the systems. VAPT testing has to be done regularly. Like if it is a stock exchange, it has to be done every 15 days once, because it's a huge lot of money being involved. It's a company, then that is a different matter of going for once in a month, 3 months or one. But companies like or stock exchange companies should do VAPT testing every 15 days once to update the system, to clean the system and ensures that no malware is being injected or no external force is being injected to do a crime. Crimes will happen whenever there is a huge lot of money incurred. So stock exchange people should have the knowledge of updating. I feel really feel to say that these people does not do this type of VAPT testing regularly. Dropping off my speech here, I'll just hand over the thing Mr. Rajendran for his conclusion. Sir, unmute, sir. Rajendran, sir, please unmute.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy. Thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Logesh Babu, for a very insightful. In fact, thank you, Mr. Rajendran, for a very detailed and insightful, very elaborative text. It was almost reading like a textbook on how the stock exchanges function. In fact, let me just spend about a few seconds on tracing back the going down the historical line in India. How old exactly is trading? Trading in India is not something new. India has been a good trader right from the Chalukya, Mauryas, and Gupta's days. And those days, the kingdom, they have to trade intra-kingdom and inter-kingdom also. And in fact, barter left way for even trading with the currency, gold currency, silver currency, leather currency, all these things have been tried. As a matter of fact, during the 11th, 12th, and 10th century, 10th up to 15th century, Chola dynasty was generally considered to be very strong. The Chola dynasty, Rajendran Chola, whether they have traveled up to Cambodia, Malaysia, and part of China, what is now called Singapore and Myanmar, and all that they have done trading. The South Indian trading was considered to be extremely good, and like the Far Eastern Ahom dynasty, Ahom dynasty, which ruled the parts of Burma and part of China and entire Assam for about 690 to 700 years, was also considered to be very strong, very proficient. Though many of the history books, due to various reasons, they never recorded the entire trading history in India. But trading entirely took a new paradigm when the stock exchanges came. Because earlier trading was done based on some commodity. I have some commodities, a physical thing, I sell this to you, and then you sell me back some commodity, it's a silver coin or a gold coin. But trading, stock exchange means it is an artificial, something like an investment in a company, then it is purely decided upon a demand and supply theory, not on the physical value of the building, physical value of the asset or the car or the two-wheeler or the motor or some physical asset. Much more than that, it is the demand and supply. So long as there is a demand for the product, I'm prepared to sell it, so long as the demand keeps rising. Now, with so much of technology built into it, a Harshad Mehta scam took place in 1991 when he suddenly for about 400 points up to some 3,000, 4,000 points, almost hundreds of times the stock market grew, and everybody, most of the small-time investors, they increase their net worth by about 100. People who are trading in thousands and lakhs, suddenly they become crore-patis, because crores in those days was very rare, not like we speak about 100 crore, 200 crores of these days. In 1991, crore, the very first crorepati was there in English, and crorepati in Hindi also, means something extraordinarily rich. People used to stinkingly rich or extremely rich. Those days itself, the Bombay Harshad Mehta scam was reported to be around loss of 4,000 crores. Then subsequently, SEBI came and NSE came and there was a regulatory body and all that. Just like any other regulatory body, like a TRAI or IRDAI or RBI, this regulatory body also has its strength and weaknesses. Many of the weaknesses of the regulatory body, SEBI, have been discussed elaborately, presented elaborately by Ravichandran. Some of the information was, when it was due, was interesting, I would say too. But it's quite interesting. Many of the commoners, they wouldn't have known about it. In fact, it is time that we know the intricacies of the trade before we enter. There's a good point which Ravi brought out, that we should know the intricacies, the nuances of the stock market. Now, these nuances of the scam and how the scam broke out in 2015 itself, why the government was keeping quiet from 2015 up to 2018 was the interesting point. Why again from 2018 and 19, when there was a change of management, like the entry of Yogi and Anand Subramaniam, and change of responsibility for Chitra Ramakrishna everything from 2018 to 2020, and why it took 2021 end to act on an end report. All these are the points which, as the scam goes to a later stage, as more and more evidences come out of the shelf. These are all the questions which the government has to answer, or possibly, I would say, the regulatory body has to answer. These things are for the history, or for the. But the Indian system is such that Ravichandran was comparing what happened in the case of US in 2012 investigation, 2012 end conviction, and 2012 in a matter of 1.5 years he went to jail. The same thing happens in many countries like Singapore, uh, Dubai. Of course, I'll not compare Dubai in this case. Singapore, even UK, and again USA. But Indian jurisprudence, the system is quite, quite, I wouldn't say peculiar, quite elaborate, more system based, more record based. That any conviction of any crime takes a quite a longer time. So it's not surprising that even to take Chitra Ramakrishnan under judicial custody, I wouldn't say she is behind bars, she has been arrested and all that. I think the better word would be she has been taken for the CBI custody for questioning. I mean, that's a milder word, I think. So, it's not an arrest after conviction, or she is not undergoing, she is not spending any time as part of the punishment. So, by the time the case comes to the stage of examination, cross examination, and the presentation of evidences and resisting maybe of within evidence, and digital evidence with all its nuances, with all its ramifications, somebody questioning the digital evidences, in the process of presentation, because Indian evidence system, Indian jurisprudence is more procedure based. It's always a substantial law as well as a procedural law. So both have to be balanced properly. So with all this, possibly it may take about a few years, possibly a year or two, or even perhaps more. As Ravichandran was telling, that by the time the people who are all accused now, including the mysterious yogi, whoever he is, I'm not going into the profile. I don't want to hazard any guess that it could be him, this politician, this minister, that politician. I mean, so long as something concrete comes to the pay, let us not hazard any guess and cast aspersions on any
Yes.
particular VIP. Then, okay, whoever he is, whoever she is also, yogi or yogini, whatever it is. By the time the whole thing comes to a shape, it may be about 5 years, a year. So by the time some of these people would have not be spending their time in retirement, got some old age homes. I mean, they could have seen, they must be facing some other end also. So let us pray God, let us pray Almighty that the whole thing is good to the reasonable conclusion, the common man that has to be protected because we are more concerned with common man. And we are more concerned with the rule of law in India, the principle of equity and natural justice, the principles of the equity and natural justice shall prevail in this land. And India is a land with a traditional and cultural value, and these things should not shake the fundamental ethical strength of India. Let us pray God that something good will certainly come out of it, and the guilty shall be punished. Let's pray God for it. But thank you, Reddy, for the opportunity.
Wonderful.
Uh, uh, can I come in, Mr.
Yeah, please.
Dr. Reddy?
Please.
While during the course of going through all the papers and all that, I was going through the emails also trying to profile the person. I was struck by one mail which was repeatedly talking about Seychelles. Now, I was wondering why Seychelles should come into the picture. I can understand Singapore, I can understand UK, I can understand Cayman Islands, I can understand Mauritius, I can understand British Virgin Islands, but why should Seychelles come into the picture? Then when I went back and tried to find out some more details about Seychelles, I was surprised. Seychelles is also a tax haven which does not have a treaty with India, which means we cannot get any information from Seychelles during that time. So if I open an account in Seychelles and transfer money to that account, it is as good as dropping it into the ocean. Nobody can find out where it has gone, how it has gone, who has dropped it, etc. So that was the connection of Seychelles to this entire case. That was an interesting thing that I don't know, probably it would have struck to somebody else also. But this is the reason why Seychelles was brought into the picture and why both Chitra Ramakrishnan and that Yogi wanted to spend a night there.
Yeah, but all
probably after depositing all the money there. I don't know.
Wonderful. You have really truly made it very simple and clear to every citizen. I hope after watching this show, what is this National Stock Exchange scam? Chitra Ramakrishna, Subramaniam, and that mysterious Yogi, and that Rajat Gupta. Incidentally, that same Rajat Gupta has been playing havoc with the health system here. That man was brought in, hired by the Indians through Bill Gates. I am pointing out to Rajendran ji because we have done a big exposure on this, and same Rajat Gupta was there. See, all these criminal intent minds who want to make money at the cost of public suffering and public loot, as you rightly mentioned, Rajendran ji, it should be equity and natural justice is not new to India. When we could catch hold of Arshad Mehta scam, and after Arshad Mehta, what is that another gentleman's name? Even they could.
Ketan Parekh.
Satyam.
Ketan Parekh.
Satyam.
Parekh.
Ketan
Ketan Parekh. Then after that, Fadjinga accounts is Satyam. All these are all scams.
Yes.
India could identify and punish them and put them behind bars. Though we did not have that much needed system, because I give credit to those officers who were there. But now what is happening with this scam of such a magnitude? That is what we have been shouting. Mr. Modi's slogan was also something like, I will bring back black money, and so that Indians will be happy, because it is our money. It is our money which has been stashed away in this form of looting scams. Now Seychelles and all, now latest, this stock exchange, right from 2015, 2018, why government could not? Is it not a failure of revenue intelligence? Are yaar, you are taxing me if I go and buy gold, bloody you tax me. Fine. But such a magnitude and people's fortune, because it is people's money which is invested in the stocks. It is again banks, LIC, where common man has invested in those banks and LIC. All those stocks are there. Many public sector undertaking stocks are there, through which they try to manipulate. When such a serious crime has been happening, how is that the revenue intelligence, which always is behind a common man spending, could not identify this? That beats my intelligence. Such a big scam of this magnitude. Until and unless you have someone in higher echelons protecting you, only then I think it has gone scot-free. Until the same journalist, I salute her. Again, she is the one who has, through through a whistleblower's this thing. Yes, sir. Ravichandranji, you wanted to say.
This will be of interest to Mr. Rajendran. In that National Stock Exchange Board, there are many directors, reputed people as directors. And there is also a judge in that, a retired judge in that. Unfortunately, that the directors were aware of what was going on in the National Stock Exchange and they didn't complain to anybody, SEBI, or they didn't bring it to the notice of any of these things. Aren't they liable for vicarious responsibility? Aren't they, can't they be questioned on their responsibility towards the people? After all, these directors, 2 or 3 of them were all public interested directors. They were supposed to protect the interest of the public. They knew of the matter and they kept quiet. Mr. Rajendran.
Authority, you can go ahead. I mean, this is a point which, based on facts, only I'll be able to respond.
Then I'll simplify it. I'll simplify it further for you to answer. They are all taking fat salaries and all the emoluments available. So are they liable or not? Because in due discharge of their duties under oath.
That's why I told you. Towards the end of my talk,
Yeah.
the last 30 seconds I told you, on the principle of natural justice, principles of equity, there is a complete system in place in the country. Every company director is bound by his oath, whether he's an independent director or a nominated director or an appointed director or even a full-time director, whatever is the capacity. Even independent directors, the repeatedly courts have said that they are also accountable. They cannot say, I'm an independent director, I just come attend the meeting, take some chai, samosa and tea cup, I just go with. No, like, many courts have repeatedly said that even if you are not an investor director, even if you are an independent director, but the decision is in the court, you are a party to it, that way you are responsible. That is a word like vicarious responsibility. I would say not a vicarious responsibility, it's a specific responsibility.
Okay.
But the facts have to come up. Only then will be the commitment.
Yeah.
How much was discussed, how much everybody, possibly 1 or 2 directors could have even recorded, could have, I'm not very sure, could have recorded their dissent with the direction, dissent with the step. We do not know. We are not privy to the minutes of those boards. I have not seen the minutes of them.
Yeah.
Every minute, every court, there is only 1 or 2 gentlemen who express their dissent. I'm not agreeing to the point number 3, point number 3, and 4.
Yes.
So going into the facts, let me not comment upon all that.
In some of the cases, the minutes are not even recorded.
That's strange. That is very strange. I don't know what is the regulator SEBI was doing all this while, and the finance ministry directly under which aegis all these things work, and it beats my intelligence. It really beats my intelligence. Something happens if you miss one EMI, and if you go to gold shop and you buy a gold, and immediately you get a notice. The revenue intelligence is working in such a way, they have got eagle eyes, they are clawed onto common people. But how is that such a big stock exchange wherein the fortune of the people and the country is involved, is at stake, it goes scot-free for so many years? That beats my intelligence. How can it be? If it not with the connivance of the higher officials or the administration or the politicians, how can it go scot-free for such a long time? And you have allowed them to loot, run away, stash away all the money. You just see the gratuity 41 crores and SEBI is trying to tax it by 2 crores. What is a shame. Don't you think all that 41 crores should be brought back, and that entire NSE, National Stock Exchange, who have contributed to this 41 crores, they should also be jailed, because ignorance of law is no excuse. When ignorance of law is no excuse from a common man, how is it going to be relaxed for such directors who have been taking such huge money and emoluments? And not only that, they are paying gratuity of 41 crores to the accused. Again, I stand to be corrected. Till proved, you are still just like that. The accused have to be just like that. Till proved, no one is guilty. I keep on repeating this on all my shows, because we are not here to pronounce judgments. We are here to break the news, to discuss what is fact and what is missing in between the lines, so that this show will become a big legal evidence. And we are giving our mind, discussing on something which has happened, why it has happened. These are the evidences. 41 crores gratuity money, and these people, the board directors or NSE, go scot free, along with Chitra Ramakrishna, Subramaniam. All these, don't you think NSE also should be included? How can they go scot free? Switch off and switch on servers is happening. Is it not right from that board to everyone? Are they not aware? That means they're cut right from tune to that level. Everyone is involved. That is why we have seen so many companies going broke by showing everything in stock exchange. Their personal properties are going high, but in stocks, in their companies, they are showing them to go down. They are going away and enjoying. Not only that, these are the same people who are getting again contracts in another deal. Again, banks are supporting them. I don't understand this. You have different laws for different people, different companies, different businessmen. That is why Rajendran ji was trying to be very, very implicitly clear. The equity, the natural justice, principles of natural justice, the equity and the transparency and accountability, whoever is, if they are there in that board as a director, it implies to them. And I only hope, as in America, Rajat Gupta was immediately cleansed of it so that he could come to India, and same 2012-13 started to meddle with Indian public health, and we are facing that music now. Such criminal intent minds, I am saying clearly, because he was caught on record. That was there even in the earlier show also, we have brought out that he was caught in. And how is that he is being allowed to become an advisor for public health, and government after government, including this government, they are allowing such. This is what the tacit understanding of the government officials and the politicians. Otherwise, how can this scam be going on since so many years? And still we do not know when it is going to complete it. But now, before I say bye, now what is this present status of National Stock Exchange and SEBI? Are they safe places to be invested and trusted? Before we say, I only hope the government under Prime Minister Modi ji, now they have won the elections, they are clear. Now they have to answer the parliament, take entire India into confidence. Can we trust National Stock Exchange and its regulator called SEBI? You infuse confidence in us. How can you make these institutions to work in a transparent and accountable way, so that my money is involved? It is, the onus is on the government now. No political party speaks. NRI funding and electoral bonds have become opaque. All these fellows might have started funding these political parties. In Mumbai, the governance is, so many political parties are there. Why they are keeping calm? Why don't they make any nuisance or noise in regards to such a big scam happening under their own skin? And there no one knows. No one knows. That is why now we demand through this show, the government should come out clean. Can we trust National Stock Exchange and SEBI? And how long you are going to take to bring all those people to book? Not only book, the money which has been siphoned off, it has become a fashion. Court will pronounce judge, they will be there in the jail, you will forget. But the amount of loot, where did this money go? Crypto or another bank? Government has to identify and bring it back. Otherwise, you are a failure in administration. That will what people say, and people will start losing faith in National Stock Exchange, SEBI, so that you are going to privatize everything and everything will become crypto, hidden. Then silently another revolution may be on the cards. Thank you, sir. So kind of you.
Thank you.
Nice to host you once again. Series from November on all the financial aspects we are bringing out with all the evidences. It is for your own judgment, every citizen, to understand and to act in their own, so that their fortune is safe and they become prosperous and very, very happy with good life, good public life, and good health. Thank you, sir, once again. This will be retelecasted. Of course, many have been asking. We will retelecast them all in a series. Right from starting November, when everyone was asking me about crypto, I said we will telecast all these things. We will announce priorly in Citizens Dr. TSPR channel. But before that, we want to conclude in a series. The next topic also we will discuss and we will announce it. Till that time, you just be clear before you invest in stocks, whether it is National Stock Exchange or anything else, because it is your responsibility to understand, to have the information, so that you can judge what is proper or right and what is not. And we are here trying to provide you within our limbs whatever we could accrue such information, so that you can develop more and more on that and you can decide. It is up to you entirely. So do support Dr. TSPR channel, Citizen Dr. TSPR channel, Environment People Dr. TSPR channel, and we are going to have such wonderful guests coming out with latest topics, with all the evidences, with no ill feelings against any individual or any party or organizations, as we deal the issues as per rule of law, constitution, invoking evidential act. Thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much. For all the Indians, Sukha Nidra Shubharatri for the world over. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Bye, sir.